Although God of War Ragnarok was said to be the end of the Norse saga for Kratos, the end of Ragnarok shows there is still more to explore within the Norse realm, and maybe why the franchise will split into two different games. On November 18, 2022, PlayStation Lifestyle posted this article named New God of War game apparently teased. Santa Monica Studios creative director Cory Barlog appears to be teasing the next God of War game already. The series certainly wasn't going to end with Ragnarok, but the current narrative arc has come to a close, much to a fan's disappointment because they hoped for a trilogy. Responding to one such fan on Twitter, Barlog implied that the studio is already thinking about the next game. Cory Barlog did state before the release of Ragnarok, as I recall, that originally the series was planned for a trilogy, but thought there was no real need, as they could wrap up the story within the second game. I think after I played Ragnarok, I would have liked more from Thor, and maybe if it was split into two games, the second game would have been more Thor focused and teased Odin and had some Odin cutscenes and stuff, but the third game would then focus around Odin being the main villain. The article continues by saying Cory Barlog responds to the fan on Twitter who didn't like the end of Ragnarok by tweeting, "In the 2018 game, Kratos, Atreus and Freya discussed Jormi, who is Jormungandr, when riding the gondola before going to Alfheim." Barlog said in response to a fan who argued that God of War Ragnarok's ending felt rushed, especially when it comes to Jormungandr. She talks about how Jormi just appears one day and no one knows why or how. In Ragnarok, we close that loop connecting it to Loki, but how he got back in time, well, that's a story for another game. But I thought the way he got back in time was he got hit by Thor's hammer, and he hit him so hard that it spiraled him into the past. Now I don't know if that's what it's referring to. I'm not sure what's going on. I've read this line over and over again and I couldn't quite figure it out. So guys, please explain to me in the comments if you understand that straight away. Please explain to me what is he actually trying to say, because when I read this line, I'm thinking that he's talking about when Thor hit him with the hammer and he went back in time. So we do know how he went back in time. So why is that a story for another game? But I'm a bit confused with that line there. This isn't the first time Barlog has teased the next chapter on Twitter. Shortly after the release of God of War 2018, he published a series of tweets that contained a hidden message pointing towards God of War Ragnarok. It looks like the next God of War game will be about Loki. Also, the way God of War Ragnarok ended, it seems Atreus is going to go on his own adventure and will have his two companions throughout the game. The first being Angrboda, which will likely see their romantic storyline play out in the game, along with Thor's daughter Thrud, who now wields Mjolnir. Also, in the final mission and the final Atreus section, we were able to transform into a bear, and it felt so good. The bear form had new attacks and gameplay, but it was only for a couple of minutes. This makes sense to be the first two forms in the potential Atreus spin-off game, where he has both the wolf and bear forms unlocked at the start of the game, and more to unlock as the game progresses. Also, I wanted to say that I would really love Atreus to grow older in this game and adapt the Kratos original look, just inspired by it, that I've seen from a lot of artwork, which I've left in my thumbnail as well, and I'll leave the artist in the description. For me, I don't want to be this boy Kratos anymore for an entire game, but rather a young man who has the same body type as young Kratos with a goatee. We could also get older versions of Thrud and Angrboda. The main antagonist for the game could also be Sindry, and I doubt they will repeat the storyline of Freya forgiving Kratos, but rather have Sindry become a full-blown psychopath bent on revenge. If this happens, that will be such a crazy character arc development for Sindry's character, one we would have never expected after playing God of War 2018. Also, after the release of Ragnarok, Cory Barlog said that God of War's Santa Monica studio is working on a lot of different things. After the release of Ragnarok, Cory Barlog said that God of War's Santa Monica studio is working on a lot of different things. Now, this article is by wellplay.com. Barlog stated that Santa Monica is spread out on a lot of different things, though he wouldn't elaborate on what exactly this meant when pressed by the interviewer. As this article points out, Santa Monica does have a smaller arm that publishes indie titles, so this comment should be taken with that in mind, but it does leave the door open for some exciting new prospects now that the team has wrapped up development on Ragnarok. Now, something different would be an Atreus spin-off game, and it may not even be in the style of the two recent God of War games. They can change the genre with it, they can go open world, or they can make it an Uncharted Last of Us style linear experience, which is kind of how God of War is now, with a little bit more openness, I would say. But I think Cory Barlog is working on something new altogether with a new IP for Sony, and we'll discuss that in a future video. Now let's talk about when the potential release and announcement could be for the game. Now, we could get the announcement at the next big PlayStation Showcase event, which is rumored to take place this month in May 2023 by Jeff Grubb, and is also said to be a massive showcase that is better than any Sony E3 conference in the past. In my previous videos on the rumored Metal Gear Solid projects, we said how these games could be teased at the next PS Showcase, and the next God of War game, being this Atreus Led spin-off, could also be teased and given an official title like the God of Mischief or something like simply Loki. This will be similar to how Marvel's Spider-Man had the Miles Morales game as a smaller spin-off title, and if the Atreus game is using the same mechanics that were built in Ragnarok, we may see it sooner rather than later. Going off the Miles Morales release date, we could get the Atreus game within the next 2 years, so a tease is entirely possible for the PlayStation Showcase. But we are not done at all with this God of War sequel news, these sequel teases. We will be discussing so much more with how Tia teases the future of the sagas of Kratos' story at the end of Ragnarok, the Cory Barlog new IP, and what's next for the mainline God of War games. Will it be a full series refresh? We don't know yet, but we will be discussing it in future videos. So go ahead and subscribe, and if you want, go ahead and turn on those notification bell so you get the videos straight away, and go ahead and watch those Metal Gear Solid videos where they're going to be potentially remaking Metal Gear Solid 1 and 3. I'll leave them in the link in the description, comment section, and in the corner. Guys, thank you so much for watching. Peace out, God bless, and I hope to see you in one of my next videos. Take care, guys.